Hello, beautiful souls, and welcome to yet again another video. Um, yeah, I had a purpose when I came on. I'm trying to refocus my brain. Many things happened between the thought and pressing the record button, so bear with me. Okay. Um, so a thought that popped into my head this morning. Um, it was kind of this theme of control, right? And initially it was with regards to um, parenting, and certain parenting choices that we make. And often it is indicated or um, expressed that these choices are made out of love, right? Um, and yes, we are conditioned, many of us are conditioned to believe that. And so certain parenting decisions perpetuate, you know. For instance, spanking, right? And I know this is one that is, I guess, kind of a touchy issue. You have very passionate people on both sides of the argument. Um, but when I think of spanking, I don't see that as being able to come from a place of love, you know? I don't think love has within its capacity to inflict pain on another in order to gain compliance, right? It's not about love, it's about control, right? And it's about gaining control and compliance, right? Having our children comply with whatever demands it is that we requested, you know. But I think it forgets that, our kids are not ours, right? They're not objects that belong to us. They are whole human beings who have their own lives with their own decisions, their own interests, likes, desires, right? And our job is not to inhibit that. Our job is not to control that, right? Our job is to protect and provide guidance. We can show kids how to be and behave, right? When we look at the behaviors of our children and we look at the things that they're doing, we also have to take into consideration the things that we are doing. You know, what are the beliefs or the behaviors that we are participating in that are influencing these current behaviors that I'm seeing, you know? And yeah, I think a lot of times in that desire to control, we avoid looking at ourselves. We're placing that um, we're placing the entirety of the behavior that we see on them, and not taking any accountability for the role that we play, right? But children are as resilient as they are, they're also like sponges, right? And the environment that we create um, is what's going to help or hinder them, you know. As you get older, Yes, the responsibility of your actions goes more and more to yourself, but as a child who is limited in the control that they're able to exert in their lives within the reality that we currently live in, within the constructs of this reality. They're very limited depending on who their parents are, you know. Some children are fortunate to have parents that embrace, encourage, uplift, and empower, their kids. And then you have some kids that, have stricter parents. And, for whatever reason, whichever path it is that you find yourself on, that is the path you're supposed to be on. That's the path that your soul chose for whatever lessons it is you're supposed to gain from those experiences, right? So it's really not a matter of lucky or unlucky, but more so just a matter of the circumstances that you're in, right? But as we shift as a collective, there are many mindsets that are shifting, and I think when it comes to parenting, there are a lot of mindsets that are shifting as well, and we're shifting out of this idea that we are supposed to control who our kids become, that we are somehow responsible for the people that they grow into, who they become when they're adults, and that's not the case. We are responsible for ourselves, right? And when it comes to our kids, we are responsible for protecting them, for encouraging them to be their authentic selves, encouraging them to love themselves, teaching them by example, letting go of the judgments and the hate that you have in your heart so that you don't pass that down, right? All of that trauma that we take in ourselves, we pass that on to our kids, right? So it's time to break those cycles. Shift your perceptions and recognize that maybe what you thought to be true before isn't. Maybe the way that you've been doing things previously isn't the best way. Maybe there's a better way. Maybe there is a better way for us to parent so that we can raise children who truly believe in themselves and love themselves, that aren't judging each other, aren't constantly comparing themselves to one another, aren't in fear of what other people think of them. That is what we're teaching our kids, And I just think it's important that we really take a step back and reevaluate the way that we've been doing things, In reality, we don't have control over anything but ourselves, right? I was watching a video earlier, and actually the guy in it mentioned, I don't know if he mentioned the quote or if this was his quote, I can't remember, but he was talking about the distinction between control and influence, right? We can't control the things outside of ourselves, but we can influence them, right? We can't control our children. We can't control what outcome meets them later on in life, right? But we can have an influence. we can impact them. We can have an impact, and it really um, is up to us what kind of impact or influence we want that to be, you know? Um, yeah. I was getting some messages and I kind of lost my train of thought. I need to start remembering to put this on do not disturb when I'm recording. um, but yeah, control versus influence, you know, and I think it's an important distinction for us to understand because it also allows us to release ourselves from that need to control, you know, so we can recognize that when we work on ourselves, right, when we do the inner work and we work on becoming the best version of ourselves, right? And that best version is always evolving, ever evolving. It never stops. It's an ongoing process. But as we do that, as we better ourselves, as we heal ourselves, we're also creating a ripple effect of healing around us, right? So as we work on those things within ourselves, as we heal our traumas, as we heal our ancestral, our past life, and our current life traumas, right? As we work on all of that, we are breaking this cycle of fear, of judgment, of hate, of division. And we're stopping that from being passed down to our kids, right? We're moving into a time of embracing individuality, accepting everyone for who they are. Accept your kids for who they are, you know? Just love them, you know? Give as much love and support and encouragement as you can, and empower them to make decisions for themselves. Empower them to trust their own intuition. Empower them with the opportunities to decide which trajectory their life is going to go. You know, don't push religion, don't push beliefs. You know, you can talk about what you believe in. You can demonstrate how it has a positive effect on your life, but don't push that on them. Allow them to develop, grow, learn, and choose on their own. Allow them to find their own voice, find their own beliefs. Allow them to become who they are or remain who they are, right? Because we come into this world free. And then all of these societal conditionings are imposed on us. Spare your children that societal conditioning and allow them to express themselves fully. You know, this idea of children should be seen and not heard in certain cultures. I know where I'm from, Jamaica, you know, that's the thing. I've been fortunate enough to have parents that embraced my voice, you know, that's encouraged us to speak. While, you know, I was always a quiet person, I was always reserved, and I still was impacted by, you know, that societal conditioning. I had parents that really supported, growth, especially my mom. My mom was one of the most patient people with a child like myself. I I had a lot of things going on growing up, and my mom was always patient and loving and compassionate. And yeah, she had her moments in certain instances where frustration and annoyance prevailed, but in the moments where it really mattered, she was always um, just compassionate and understanding and careful to not disregard how I might have been feeling would affect the different behaviors that I was um, demonstrating, you know. And she was just always very patient with me when it came to the more, I think, when it was needed more, But not everyone has that, and this idea of children should be seen and not heard, um, I think is backwards. Children bring so much goodness and so much knowledge, you know. We underestimate the power of a child's idea, you know. But when you really think about how we fix everything and, live a better way, it's just thinking like kids think. See the world through a child's eyes. See the wonder in everything. Be grateful for everything. Sharing is caring. Be kind to your neighbor. Hands and feet to yourself. All these things that are kind of amplified in kindergarten. You know, if we could embrace those things within ourselves, because children don't start out judgmental. They don't start out that way. That's not how they're wired. They're taught that. We teach them that. We teach them that when we're judging ourselves, you know, when you're looking in the mirror and making different comments about how you look, they see those things and they start to see, oh, if I don't look this way, or if I don't have that, or if this is that way, then that means I'm not good enough. All right. We're teaching them all of these things. And, yeah. I kind of went all over the place. I mean, still within, you know, the realm of talking about kids, but yeah, I think that as parents, when it comes to how we discipline and raise our children, it's important that we're doing it from a healed place, right? That it comes from a true place of love and compassion and understanding and respect, right? Yeah. As much as we as parents would like respect from our kids, it's important that we give that respect as well. And that includes our respect for their body, right? That's their body, their temple, their vessel. And we don't have a right to inflict harm upon that, right? Yeah, there are other ways to teach, to discipline, to teach our kids accountability, consequences. You know, this is not to say that there should be no consequences and it's just free reign for all. No. In life, there are consequences. That's a part of life. Our actions have consequences, and we should all be held accountable for them. And that should be taught. But harm does not need to be inflicted in order to do that. We don't need to exert our control over another human being in that way, right? There are other ways. Research it. Try different things out, you know? Yeah. It's just my thoughts on that. Yeah. And with that, I believe I am complete. I don't think there is anything else. All right. Well, thank you for tuning in. If you made it this far, I appreciate you. Yeah. All right. I will catch you on the flip side. Sending so much love and light